Welcome to Author Toolset Tuesday with a quote from Robin Sharma, who said, "Lucky is where skill meets persistence." Isn't that beautiful? Because there's no such thing as luck, for starters. Luck is that confluence of space and time where the simple thing, like I'm sitting down doing the thing I know I need to do when I need to do it, whether I feel like it or not, and I persist in that moment. That's luck. Because all my skill, all my talent, all my tenacity gets focused in that one single moment. And then some really amazing things can happen because I've forced myself into that uncomfortable place that lives outside our comfort zone. Outside mine, anyways. Hi there, my name is Christopher Diarmani, and it is my pleasure and my passion to empower nonfiction authors. Authors just like you. So you can turn your dream of writing a book into your published reality. Because if I can do this, you can do this. Of that much, I can absolutely guarantee you. Because someday I'll share the story of my very first book. It was utterly atrocious. Long story, we'll get into that some other time. What we want to talk about today is the fact that there's no such thing as luck when it comes to writing and publishing your book. Nothing at all. Your success is simply the result of hard work and perseverance every single day, whether you feel like it or not. That's it. I mean, the alternative is, of course, that you could admit to yourself that, oh, well, I don't know, I'm just not willing, so I'm just going to give up on this dream. I really hope that's not you, because that's a terrible mindset to be living in where you know what the answer is and you still refuse to do it. Too many people get caught up in that. Please, let that not be you. Be willing. If nothing else, be willing. And persist in that willingness every single day. Because failure, for me, is not an option. I would hope failure for you is not an option either. You know, we want to keep going no matter what. So I want to give you just a simple roadmap for author success that will help you through some of the minefields of our own mind. Because that's, the challenge is never writing the book. Come on. If you just be honest with yourself. Writing, the actual act of putting your hands on the keyboard or turning on your voice recorder or grabbing your pen and paper, whatever tool you prefer to use, writing isn't the hard part. That's actually the really easy and enjoyable part. The hard part's getting my butt in the chair, so I'll do the thing that's actually easy. Why there's this resistance, I don't know. I hate it. And yet it does persist in some level some days. And so this is a simple little roadmap that I've developed that will help. Well, it certainly helps me, and I hope it'll help you as well to get through some of those moments where the infernal editor is just being a complete butthead. Because that's what infernal editors do. They're just not nice folk. So hone your writing skills. And you do this by, of course, consistent daily practice. You want to get good at anything, you need to practice. And so that's what these daily writing sessions are all about. Some days it doesn't matter how productive you are in that session. What matters most is that you were there from start to finish, working your best, working your hardest. That something really great comes out of it? Some days that's not going to happen. If it does, fantastic, but don't be expecting miracles just because you showed up on Saturday afternoon when you were in a bad mood. Force yourself to get out of that bad mood. Use something like a 2-minute timer to force yourself into that place where you're demanding that you write with joy, and carry on. So hone your skills through consistent daily writing practice. Schedule those writing sessions on your calendar, on your phone, on wherever you're going to see it and be reminded about it. And then keep those daily appointments with yourself. Super simple stuff. Like there's no miracles here. There's no luck here. There's simply setting myself up for success in every single moment. That's what this is about. Setting myself up for success. So embrace your persistence. Embrace your stubbornness, if you want to use that word. I don't. I like to use persistence. I like to use tenacity, because those are words that empower me. And I always want to use words that are empowering me, because it just helps me stay in that really positive mindset. So if you can only put one single tool in your author toolkit, make it persistence. By whatever name you want to call it, put that tool in your author toolbox and never let it go. Never. And then, of course, embrace the mindset that failure simply isn't an option. Don't have some backup plan. Don't have a fallback position. Because if you have a backup plan, you'll fall back on it. If you have a fallback position, you'll fall on it. But if you don't have any of that stuff waiting in the wings in case you fail, If you're setting yourself up for, in case you fail, you're setting yourself up to fail. If you're going to fail at all, make sure you're failing forward. Make sure you're pushing yourself harder and faster and forward towards that area of success. Because failure is simply not an option. It can't be an option. If you can give up on this dream, then it's not a dream. If you're watching me on this video, it's because you want to get better. You want to get your book done. You want to get your book out into the world so you can make the impact you know you were born to make. So forget any notions of, backup positions, fallback positions, just in case stuff. Burn all of it. Burn the bridges, burn the boats behind you, as Tony Robbins would say. Burn the bridges that you've crossed so you can't go back. The only thing you have left is to go forward. And that stubbornness, that tenacity, that persistence, that's the thing that's going to get your book done, no matter what happens in your life. I've shared before when my wife was going through breast cancer treatment. That's a terrible time in our life. And yet, it's also one of the most blessed times in our life for a bunch of different reasons, and certainly for me as a writer. Because what I learned through helping her through that terrible time is that writing is really, really important to me. It's how I keep my sanity. And so I had to figure out how I could write, even in the face of all that adversity in that moment. And it turns out some really great stuff came out of me during those really dark times in our marriage, in her life specifically, and in mine because I was the one, her primary caregiver, person primarily responsible for making sure that she got to all her doctor's appointments and took the medications and did all that stuff, right? So when failure is not an option, there's no way I could fail my wife in that moment. There's no way. So I succeeded. I still get emotional talking about that because it's both a traumatic and a really powerful time in both of our lives. But let's move on to something where I'm probably going to be able to speak a little clearer about, shall we? Ignore your infernal editor. I hate that sucker, and yet he shows up at the most inopportune times. Life is going to present you, as I just discussed with my wife's breast cancer, life is going to present you with a multitude of opportunities to make the right choice, to do the right thing, or to do the wrong thing, to fail, to admit that, well, this is just too hard. I don't want to do this. It's just easier to give up at some moments. It's always easier to give up. The whole point is to not give up. The whole point is to do whatever you have to in that moment to get yourself to take that one more step. One more step. So if you're saying things like, well, I'll work on my book tomorrow. I don't feel like it today. Tomorrow will be a better day. No, not if you're going into it with that mindset. It can't be. It's impossible. So in this simple little plan you see in front of you, step number 2 is the solution to pretty much every problem you face. Every single problem can be faced, overcome, dug under, gone around, over top of, whatever way you need to hear it for yourself. There's always a way through, over, under, around, whatever that problem is, and the solution is always persistence. Always. And then do the work daily, whether you feel like it or not. Persist every single day. And if your head is screaming at you that that's impossible, I can't find the time to write every day, well, number 1, let's address that. You don't find the time to do anything. You make the time for things that are important to you. Just like I do, just like everyone else on the planet does. Where we spend our time is what we value. And if you want a truly terrifying experience, track where you spend your time diligently for a week. Every half hour, write down what you were doing. At the end of that week, you'll discover what you value most. And sometimes what you'll discover about yourself is utterly horrifying. Why am I spending 3 hours binge watching a television show? I could be writing for 3 hours. Why am I doing that? There's so many things that we do in our life every single day that kill time. They kill opportunity for us. Don't fall into the trap. Put yourself in that position. Put yourself in that position to be successful as much as possible, as often as possible, every single day. Your feelings, here's the thing about I don't feel like writing. The second that you start, the second you take that silly little 2-minute dollar store timer and turn it over, put your hands on the keyboard and start, your feelings are going to change. They have to change because you're now doing something. And because you've changed your mental state, your emotional state, your mind and your body's naturally going to follow. You can't move your fingers, you can't walk and be depressed at the same time. All of these things once forward momentum begins, everything else becomes possible. And all that garbage that goes on in our heads, on those nasty little gerbils that I like to call the infernal editor, it actually breaks the wheel they run on. They can't run anymore. And that's fun. That's beautiful, right? Your success, I want to end on this note. Your success is not a fluke. It's not the luck of the dice. It's not some lucky roll of dice or the ace got flipped over on the river for you. That's not what success is. That is chance. You don't control chance. You do control your life. So put yourself in a position to be successful every single moment of your life, as much as you possibly can. Because your success, I want to end on this, your success is the direct result of doing what you said you would do, when you said you would do it, whether you feel like it or not. That's the roadway to success. Simple as that. So with that, if you find yourself in a position where you don't really know what your next step is, or whether you're finding it challenging to see what that entire road ahead looks like, I would love to help you get all that squared away in a single afternoon, or a single morning for that matter. In probably 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, we'll go through a really deep dive into a whole bunch of different areas, and you will walk away at the end of that session, at the end of that single day, with a complete, detailed roadmap for your author's success. You will understand at the deepest levels available in that moment what your motivation is, why you want to write this book, why is it so important to you, what is the thing that's driving you in your life. And we'll use that as the power source to fuel everything else that you do over the course of writing and finishing your draft, the first draft of your book, and then through the editing process and through publishing it. We'll put that all into that roadmap for success for you, all in a single afternoon. So if that sounds both interesting, challenging, perhaps a little bit terrifying, maybe you want to take me up on that. Just go to the link you see on your screen, authorcoach.click/roadmap. All the details are there. And just know this, anything is possible. And this is a process I use with myself all the time, so let me be clear about that. When I'm working on a new book, this is what I do. And this is what I want to share with you. This is what the process I want to walk you through. Because yes, you can write your book. Yes, you can publish your book. Yes, you can make a massive impact in the world. All of those things are possible. And if you're a writer, especially if you're a nonfiction writer, writing a book that you want to transform lives with, this is a fantastic way to start. So with that, have a fantastic rest of your day, and forget about luck. Go with skill and persistence, especially persistence. You can develop skills over time when you persist, right? Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk with you again tomorrow around, let me find the right key here. I'll talk to you again tomorrow around 3 o'clock. Bye for now.